Any serious sports bettor knows that sports betting is the hunt for expected value. Now, finding expected value is difficult, and there are a variety of factors that can denote positive or negative expected value in a sports bet. What if I told you there is a sports betting tool that makes this process easy and you can access it for free? Pick the Odds is a positive expected value tool, but it is so much more than that. While other tools in the industry are more focused on their own expected value calcs, Pick the Odds puts the power in the user's hands to create your own expected value per sportsbook per market. Add on the fact that they have one of the fastest real-time odds screens in the entire industry, as well as an arbitrage finder. Pick the Odds is one of the best sports betting tools out there and has received one of our highest scores on our entire website, betsmart.co. Yes, we gave Pick the Odds one of our highest scores on our website, betsmart.co, but that does not necessarily mean it is right for you in your sports betting journey. Stick around to the end of the video to see why Pick the Odds is one of our highest rated sports betting tools, whether or not it's right for you, and how to maximize the platform to its full potential. Let's get started. I'm Eric from BetSmart, and I've reviewed over 30 different sports betting tools on my website, betsmart.co. We have an unbiased scoring system that rates the tools based on their features, user interface, ease of use, and most importantly, how they can make you a positive return on investment. Now, considering that we have all these reviews on betsmart.co, we are also bringing the video reviews over to our YouTube at GoBetSmart. So hit that subscribe button, like the video, and never miss out on another tool review. Pick the Odds is predominantly for more sophisticated sports bettors. If you've been around the game for a little bit, you have been doing these EV calcs on your own, or you've been trying to find ARBs manually, then using a tool like Pick the Odds is absolutely worth it. However, if you're a new sports bettor and you want to be on the path toward profitability and stop sorting through all this data and stop betting based on gut feeling, Pick the Odds is the perfect entryway to actual serious sports betting and starting to take the leap into what will actually make you profitable as a sports bettor. I'm going to go through the entirety of Pick the Odds, all the features and functionality, and talk about some highlights, drawbacks, pros and cons of the tool. Let's dive right in. Let's start by focusing on one of the main parts of Pick the Odds, and that is the real-time odds screen. I want to note that everything on Pick the Odds is highly customizable, which is something that's so amazing. Here we have the real-time odds screen for the MLB today, and if you go to the sports that you have over here, you can take a look at all the different leagues that Pick the Odds has. They support many more leagues than most other real-time odds screens are capable of supporting. They have moneyline markets, totals markets, player prop markets, and all different markets that you can sort through and take a look at, and they have no shortage of markets offered. Now, Pick the Odds is absolutely amazing because of the latency on the real-time odds. They were as low as possible, and odds update as quickly as every 1.2 seconds, meaning that you are never going to miss a significant line move, whether it be for a money line bet, against the spread bet, a total, a player prop, or everything in between. Pick the Odds has real-time odds for absolutely everything, and you have the customization options for utilizing Pick the Odds' real-time odds screen. Next up is Pick the Odds pregame and live arbitrage feed. Now, this is where things really get amazing, and it's one of the best things about Pick the Odds. As you can currently see, you have tennis with this red icon here that is indicating that this match is happening and it is live. When the icon is grayed out, like you can see here, that means that there's a stoppage, there's a break, there's something going on. But when it is red, as you see here, that is literally indicating that the tennis players are going back and forth and that the event is happening truly live. Now, you can pause this screen, but you can actually go and take a look and try to find some things that are pre-game. Like, for example, over here, there are two different sports books where there is an arbitrage opportunity. Pick the Odds allows you to customize the wager amount so you can see exactly how much you need to bet on each side to make the bet be profitable. You can also see the return on investment percentage, as well as how much money you would make if this is what you put into these different bet markets. Another thing to note is when it comes to different exchanges or other sharp books, Pick the Odds has the liquidity on those books, so you know how much money you can get down and how much money these books are accepting at the time. Last but absolutely not least for the arbitrage is this amazing feature where you can open both links at the same time. In one click, it brings up both sportsbooks that you were looking for. I'm not in a Hard Rock state, so it's not pulling it up. But then you can see that the odds are on both sportsbooks, so you can go and bet that ARB directly with no latency. In one click, the odds go into your bet slip, and you can bet on a risk-free arbitrage. And this is absolutely amazing, especially for when the games are happening live, so you do not miss some of these really high arbitrage potential opportunities between two sportsbooks while the events are happening. Other arbitrage tools have similar functionality, but Pick the Odds speed, the customization, and the ability to open both links with one click is what really separates this. And keep in mind, this is risk-free money. Now, there are ways to potentially have issues with arbitrage. Like, for example, you should never be arbitraging something on the same sports book. But with that being said, Pick the Odds has one of the best arbitrage screens for not only pre-game arb opportunities, but for live opportunities. Just sit on this screen, watch the numbers flow, click a button, and import some bets. It is one of the best ways to make risk-free profit sports betting, and it is all entirely up to your control. Last but not least, you have Pick the Odds positive expected value feature. Now, what separates Pick the Odds positive expected value feature is that while other tools have a siloed expected value calc, which basically they have come up with their own weights, their own formulas, etc., Pick the Odds gives you control over your expected value functionality. By clicking this filter, you'll bring up the entire filtering system, and as you can see, Pick the Odds has over 120 sports books where you can choose from. But let's start from the top and show you exactly how down to the core you can go with your expected value calcs. Here you can do your weight distribution for different sports books, and like I mentioned, Pick the Odds has over 100 sports books. So if you know what sports books are sharp, you can then use those as your baselines. This is Pick the Odds' default, where they have penny and circa. Next, you have the expected value controls. Now, this is where you can set your bankroll if you want to go flat betting, Kelly criterion, and you can set up your filtering exactly how you want it to be. You can change the minimum or maximum number of width of books, meaning how many books are used for devigging, whether it be 1 book, 2 books, or 5 books. And what really makes Pick the Odds the most impressive is that you can do this same type of advanced filtering for every single sports book as well as every single sports bet type. For example, so you want to go into an advanced filter for Pinnacle bets, you can go into Pinnacle and you have the same exact functionality of different EV controls, different bet types, different leagues, and different markets, so you can create custom expected value calculations per sports book. Breaking that down even further with Pick the Odds is that you can also do this for bet type. For example, if you think that moneyline bets at a certain sportsbook are sharper than at another one, you can create custom calculations for your moneyline bet expected value functionality, and that same filter that you create for moneylines can be different for player props, could be different for total bets, could be different for against the spread bets. And the craziest part about it all is that when you can do this kind of functionality or this kind of filtering for every single different bet type, it's not just, okay, player props are here. You can advance filter player props and literally choose the expected value functions for individual player prop types. For example, as you see here, you have assists for the second quarter. So you know that, for example, Pinnacle is the sharpest for second quarter assist props. You can create your own expected value calculation with the same exact format. So it's not like you have to change what you're doing for every single different bet type. It is all in the same exact format. And you can do that for every single different prop market. This is absolutely insane. And this goes beyond just player props, but look at the differences of how many different player props they offer. You can go and create your advanced custom filters by knowing which sportsbooks are sharper in which markets and which sportsbooks are sharper in general. You have entire control over your customization of the expected value, which is something that no other tool gives you the functionality for, and certainly is what keeps Pick the Odds as one of the best sports betting tools out there. You must be thinking to yourself that Pick the Odds must cost an arm and a leg, considering all of those amazing different features that I spoke about, and those don't even include the other features that you saw on the side, like all these calculators they have, middle percentages, low holds, and all these other amazing features. Those are just 3 of the core features that they have, and they have a whole abundance of other features. But this goes back to what I was saying earlier in the video. All of this can be used absolutely for free. Now, Pick the Odds, of course, has some limits on their free plan. For example, on an arbitrage bet, the max return on investment you can see is 2%, and on positive expected value, the max ROI limit is also 2%. But that does not take away from the functionality of the tool. The tool still functions and operates exactly as it would be on the advanced plan like I am on, which is $120 a month, which FYI, if you are betting arbitrage, you can make that in absolutely 1 day to recoup your entire monthly fee, and then everything else on top of that is cake. But you can start with the free plan, build up enough bankroll, even with 2% ARBs and 2% positive expected values, because those small percentages compound over time, and you can use the entire suite of the tool for absolutely free. Now, Pick the Odds has one of the best tools in the first place, and yes, I do recommend going with the advanced functionality because there's absolutely no caps and you're able to use the tool to its fullest, but you still use all of the tool's functionality in the free, starter, and intermediate version, and it is priced competitively, and it's even cheaper than other positive expected value, arbitrage, and real-time odds screens in the industry. Let's recap and run through the pros and the highlights of Pick the Odds. Now, first things first is that these features will actually help you profit. The return on investment score for this tool is absolutely so high, considering one, you can use the arbitrage functionality for absolutely free, so you can literally make risk-free profit without ever paying for the tool. Another pro is that the low latency of the real-time odds screen. Now, when odds are moving, you need to be able to get into those bets quickly, and in the live arbitrage as well as on the real-time odds screen, the latency is so low it gives you opportunities to capitalize on these high ROI bet opportunities. Next is the customization. You can customize and are in charge of everything on Pick the Odds, from your way that your odds screen is showing to your actual expected value calculations per sportsbook, per bet type. The fact that you, the user, are in control means you're not bogged down by what the tool is telling you has expected value. That is entirely up to you. Last but absolutely not least, and this is an important thing, it makes sports betting easier. Now, this could sound like a blanket statement or something that's debatable, like, Eric, what are you talking about? But the fact of the matter is, by having these calculations run for you, the opportunity to find these arbitrage opportunities for you, as well as be able to calculate them within the app and click one button and pull them up, all the troubles that sports bettors have with finding edges, you are able to find them for yourself with the help of Pick the Odds. They do the heavy lifting. You just need to be there and ready to go. Finding cons with Pick the Odds is really just a nitpicking exercise at this point. Now, I'm not just blowing smoke. I've reviewed 30 plus different sports betting tools, and I have not been as impressed with any other tool as I am with Pick the Odds. But there are a few niche little nitpicks that I have. For example, the odds screen on the UI I think is a little bit off. It could be a little bit better if you were capable of seeing like totals and spreads or totals and money lines on the same screen instead of having those siloed independently. Now, they do that because Pick the Odds shows every single total, alternate lines included, even if it's not available at all sportsbooks, just because they have such a wealth of data. But in my opinion, the odds screen UI is a little bit off, and you should be able to like customize and pick which odds you see and be able to combine different markets in one. And secondly, another con is that there's a steep learning curve. I'm not going to lie, it took me a while to get familiar with using Pick the Odds with all the customization they have, all the unique offerings, but once it clicked, it was a turning point. It became one of my most used tools and has been by far the tool that's given me the most profit. So Pick the Odds, very nitpicky with some of the issues there, but if you're willing to put in the time for the learning curve, and by the way, they do have information on their site. They have videos breaking down how to use every piece of their platform, so you can get that done pretty quickly. And if they did a little bit of alterations to their UI on their odds screen, I think it'd be amazing. But with that being said, these are nitpicks. Pick the Odds is absolutely fantastic. Let's dive into the scoring of the tool. Now let's dive into the fun part, the scoring of Pick the Odds. Now, of course, I went through some of the main features of Pick the Odds, but I didn't even talk about some other amazing features they have, like the fact that they have a boost analysis where you can put in different boosts to find some expected value based on the boost. They are working on a bet tracking, which is going to be absolutely game-breaking when that goes live. And they have other little niche features and little small things that help make this tool all-encompassing. With that being said, I highlighted the scoring system earlier, and Pick the Odds finishes with an overall score of 4.8, making it one of the highest rated, if not actually tied for the highest rated score on betsmart.co. The UI is 4.8. I know I mentioned that the odds screen can use a little bit of a refresh. It looks great as it is. The UI refresh for the odds screen is more of the personal preference. Ease of use is a 4.5. Now, I know I said it's a steep learning curve, but when you actually get the hang of using Pick the Odds, it is so easy to use, and the video tutorials that are spilled throughout the website make the tool so easy to use. ROI potential, 5 out of 5. You can access free arbitrage, like I said, for entirely free to end up recouping the cost, which is $0, or if you're paying for the premium tier, which is $120 a month, you can easily recoup that in 24 hours by using the odds screen. And last but not least, feature score, 5 out of 5. Giving Pick the Odds a final score of 4.8 stars out of 5 stars, tied for the highest score on betsmart.co. That'll wrap it up for the Pick the Odds review, but make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be pumping out content reviewing all 30 sports betting tools, and there are a lot more in the pipeline. Head over to betsmart.co to read those reviews and subscribe to the channel to make sure you do not miss another tool review. Also, let me know in the comments if you've used Pick the Odds or any tools you'd like me to review. I'm Eric from BetSmart. I'll see you guys next time.